So will I be able to end this meeting? Because I don't see the option. I see only leave.
Nili, you please rename yourself.
I'm sorry.
Rename yourself.
I'll remain.
Rename.
Oh,
Your name
rename
is
myself. Oh,
yeah.
okay, from where do I rename?
Click on your name. Suman that is given. You make it Nili. It will have an option to rename.
Okay, there are 3 Suman Nandis actually. Okay.
No, the one you. I think you are the co-host. It's okay.
Done now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Great.
Rishita, you there?
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Saida. How are you? You're liking the
I'm good,
sessions?
ma'am. How about you?
I'm doing good.
Yes,
You're liking
ma'am.
the
Thank you, ma'am.
sessions? Okay, all right. Okay. So,
Nili, sorry to interrupt. Maybe I think you have not recorded the session. I mean, you have to click on the recording option. Yeah.
okay. তাড়াতাড়ি চলে আসবে। Okay, students. So, I'll just start off the session. So, yesterday, most of you were in my session, right? We were doing stress management, and we were doing effective communication. So,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
session, yes. How are you, Balmukun? Good?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing good, thank you. So today we are going to all my the courses that I'm giving you, the things that I'm teaching you, they're interrelated. So yesterday we were doing the stress management, we were doing effective communication. Today all these are going to help you deal with the world beyond your school colleges when you're going into the corporate. Okay, when you're going into the corporate and when you are balancing your roles, different types of roles you're balancing, that is when it's going to help you. So today I am going to start with conflict. Okay, my screen is visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Great. Okay, so we are going to start with conflict. So what is conflict when it comes to your mind? Yesterday we were doing stress, right? So today it's a conflict and conflict management. So what do you think is conflict? When you think about the term, or you say to somebody that I was in a conflict with that person, or there has been a conflict, what exactly do you think conflict is? Can anybody tell me in your own words? Tell me.
Ma'am means arguing, or we are not agreeing with the thoughts of the other person.
Absolutely, Dimpy. Dimpy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So conflict is when when two parties are involved, okay? When two parties are not aligned with each other's views, points, goals, or thoughts. So it is a process in which one party is considering that his interests are being hampered by another party, or he is being forced to do something, or other person's intentions are being superimposed on mine. So when that insecurity comes in, when I am not, I don't have the same viewpoint as yours, or I don't have the same viewpoint as somebody else, that's when the conflict arises. So conflict is something, it is a process where there is a negative impact on difference of opinions, difference of views, difference of personality, difference in your beliefs. So for all these things, a conflict arises, and conflict is extremely common, like stress. Conflict is also very, very important, and how you manage conflict, that is a skill, you can say, how you're managing conflict. So how you manage conflict will depend upon the situations where your conflicts are arising and how you understand those conflicts. If you do not understand, like when the conflict is arising, or you don't identify your conflict, then you won't be able to manage it. So today we will for this session, we will learn about the different types of conflicts we might get into, the different sources of conflict, and in the next sessions we are going to learn on the conflict management, effectively how you manage your conflict. So as I said, what is conflict? Conflict is like a disagreement between two parties, when two parties not aligned with each other. I want A, you want B. Okay, he wants C. Okay, so a different viewpoint. It might be a different objective, or you're trying to superimpose your thoughts. No, this is what I believe, and this is what you have to believe. Those things gives rise to conflict. And space encroachment, when you feel like your space, like nobody's giving you space, or somebody's encroaching in your space, you're not liking the fact, then a conflict arises within you or with that other person. So these are the basic overview of the what is a conflict, you can say. In our everyday life, there are so many reasons, there are so many situations that gives rise to conflict. Very small situations gives rise to conflict. It can be yesterday we were learning about interpersonal skills, if you remember. So as I said, my courses are interlinked. So if you have a poor interpersonal skill, one, it is giving rise to your stress that we discussed yesterday. Another, it is giving rise to a conflict, and conflict ultimately gives rise to stress. So if you are not properly communicating with somebody, if you do not have that proper communication interpersonal skill, it will give rise to conflict, number one. Two is when you are not able to interpret the person properly. The person has told you something and you are understanding something else, then it gives rise to conflict. Conflict and stress, it goes hand in hand. Okay, in our management studies, conflict management, stress management, all these are various parts of the human emotion and mind. Power play, what is a power play? Like somebody who has a higher power, not only just a physical power, I mean, like if the person is having more of authority, okay, more authority power, then the person tries to superimpose or show off his power on somebody. That is when your power play is coming into play. And manipulation, okay, when you are trying to, you might have faced this in your daily life, when somebody is trying to manipulate you and you are understanding the fact that the person is trying to manipulate me. So there a conflict arises. Then you have unclear expectations, okay, when you are not able to set your expectations clearly with the other person, that this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is what I'm expecting from you. So if you don't have that clear expectation setting, then it gives rise to conflict. Then conflicting roles, like as I was saying yesterday, like you have so many roles to play in your everyday life. You have a role of a friend, of a mother, of a father, of a sister, daughter, son. So when there is a conflicting roles, you are not sure, like you are not able to do one role properly, you're not able to balance one role properly than the other. Then a role conflict arises, conflicting roles. Somebody is expecting something of you and you are into something else, different roles, role ambiguity. Personal values and ethics, a person might ask a favor from you, or some sort of a dishonest transaction, okay, from you, and your ethics or personal values does not allow that. Or you are in a corporate setup wherein you're working in a team and you find your management into some unethical beliefs or unethical transactions or values, which is not at par with your values, then a conflict arises, a conflict arises, and an unrealistic expectation set. We spoke about this. I'm sorry. We spoke about this. The unrealistic expectation, like if your boss is expecting you to prepare a slide, a 20-25 slide presentation and submit it the next day. Okay, that's an unrealistic expectation. If you are expected at the workplace to handle 4 roles together, 4 job duties together, that's an unrealistic expectation. So something which is not humanly possible, which is not realistic, if that expectation is set, then it gives rise to conflict. Any questions, anybody who has faced any kind of similar conflict can give me an example, either at school, university, or society, anywhere, any kind of conflict you might have got into, and how will you categorize that? Because of skill, because of communication or understanding, role, personal value, anybody?
Personal value, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Personal value.
Personal values. Okay. So you might have faced a situation where your values did not allow you to do a certain thing. Okay.
Yes.
And that happens to us most of the time. Okay. So a conflict is a process, when you enter into a conflict, it is like yesterday when we were studying about the stress. Okay. So stress is also, or effective communication is also a process. So similarly, a conflict does not just arise out of nowhere. Okay. A conflict arises in a process, just like a stress is arising out of a process. Yesterday we were learning. Conflict also arises out of a process. Okay, there is it just does not fall from the sky. There is a source, there is a way, there is a method, your behavior, and then the final outcome. So I have actually tried to gist down to make it interesting. Okay, what is the conflict process? So stage 1 here, when you are the potential enemy, or the potential opposition, or the potential problem that we are talking about here, that is the first, when there is a possibility of an opposition. If there is no opposition, there is no conflict. So for example, you are at home and you have to go to the office, and you realize that something is not right within the team, some views, some points are not matching, something is cooking up. So there rises my potential opposition. Okay, so that is my potential threat, so as to say. Just give me a moment. Okay, so that is one thing. Then the second thing is how, this is the cognition. What is a cognition? Does anybody know what is cognition? Does anybody know what is cognition? No. Cognition is how you, cognitive development is one of my courses. Cognition is how you interpret, okay, a certain situation. Your capacity to interpret a certain situation is called cognition. How you are, interpreting a particular situation, whether you deal with it properly, whether you comprehend it properly, whether you understand it properly. Your emotional intelligence comes in here. So all these things forms the cognition. So when that potential threat, has come up in the first stage, second is how you are feeling about that threat. That is what is called cognition. That depends upon your personality. That depends upon your emotional intelligence. That depends upon your individual, character. So it all depends on that, how you are perceiving the conflict and how you are feeling about that conflict too. Next is our stage 3 is the intention, what we intend to do. Do we intend to hurt the other person? Oh, that person is not aligned to my views. So what is now my intention is, right? So next step is your intention. This is an extremely important part of human thinking and human mind. What will be your intention? This particular person is in my team. Suppose there is a person called Mr. Vijay. He is in my team, and since few days I'm noticing that he is trying to do some politics in the team, and somehow he is trying to sideline me, not following my views, not aligned to my views, and trying to escalate my image to the higher management. Suppose this is an example of Mr. Vijay I'm facing. So when I have understood that problem, that is the my stage 1, wherein the personal, the situation, that you can say the condition, the situation, the potential opposition has arisen. Then how I am, perceiving it, whether I perceive it as a threat, whether I am cool about it, how do I now process that threat. Third is my intention. I intend to harm him. I intend to defame him. I intend to, defame his character, or I intend to listen to him and collaborate with him and accommodate him. Okay, accommodate to whatever he's saying. One more thing is I intend to avoid him. Okay, anybody wants to say something? Anybody wants to say something?
Ma'am, can you repeat the cognition and the personalization, ma'am?
Cognition and personalization is when there a potential threat has arisen that will give rise to conflict. As I said, suppose in my team I have Mr. Vijay. Okay, I have been observing that he is talking, bad mouthing about me, talking behind my back to the management. He is not taking in my viewpoints. He is not aligned to what I say. He does not respect my thoughts. Okay, I have identified this. So this comes into my potential opposition. Now, the second stage is cognition. Cognition means what? Cognition is how you are perceiving, how you are understanding, or how you are interpreting your environment or the possible threat. That is called cognition. So how, for example, in your environment, so many things are going on, whether you are interpreting, understanding your environment or not. So here my cognition and personalization is, once I have received that Mr. Vijay's, body language, how I am perceiving it. What is my cognition? I am perceiving it as a threat. Oh, this is a threat, it is going to ruin me. Or I am feeling cool about it, that okay, nothing is going to happen. I'm very confident about myself, I don't care. Okay. And third is like if you are scared about it. So your cognition will depend upon your characteristics, your emotional intelligence, whether you are able to handle stress properly or not. So cognition means how you are, your capability to understand the situation, whether you are having a good understanding or not. It can be that you are misunderstanding Mr. Vijay, right? So here comes your cognition, where you have to do a proper understanding of the situation. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next comes our intentions. So after we have gone through the cognition, like we know now this is the threat, this is what is going on, then it comes our intention, like what we intend to do. Do I intend to harm him, Mr. Vijay? Do I intend to defame him? Do I intend to avoid him, start avoiding him from the next day, you know? Or do I intend to become passive with my behavior? Passive means not talk to him, not reply, avoid him. Or do I intend to say yes, whatever he says, I will say yes, 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 and accommodate and avoid a conflict. That is my intention here in the stage 3. Stage 4 is my behavior. So my behavior depends upon my intention. So my behavior is, am I going and blasting him out? Written, verbal, I go and box him up, I go and fight with him. So that next is my behavior. And finally, it gives rise to the outcome. It can be a positive outcome, it can be a negative outcome. So here, so as I said, a potential threat, where you are identifying your potential threat or the potential situation, the circumstance. It can be your family, personal situation. It can be your work situation. So in your family situation, you might take an example like, some relative you don't like, that relative is, you hear that, that relative is calling your mother or your father and, putting words about you. Okay, I saw him there, I saw her there, and she's doing this, she's doing that. So that becomes your potential opponent. Okay, now you see a conflict is arising. So that relative becomes your potential threat. So now your cognition means like you are interpreting the situation. Like, am I misunderstanding that person? Is this really what is happening or what? Okay, so that comes into the awareness. Cognition is awareness that I am actually rightly interpreting the situation. So that is my cognition. Cognition depends upon your intelligence, your emotional intelligence, your smartness. Okay, if I, nothing like that is going on and I just, understand something in my mind and I, go about creating conflict, then that is not a good skill. So cognition is very, very important to, clarify if the situation you are thinking is right. So now this relative of yours, okay, you have understood that this relative is calling my father every day at 4 o'clock and, filling his ears that, whatever, gaslighting. So now your intentions. Okay, so what do we intend to do? So your intention is, okay, let them speak. Okay, let it go on. Okay, be cooperative. Acha, theek hai. Okay, okay, you say, okay. Or you be assertive. Okay, that no, I will stop this. Okay, so you just, somehow you call your relative up and just tell them that this is not what it is. So, you be assertive. Or you be compromising. Acha, okay, fine. She's saying, they are saying, what can I do? Let them say, okay, I am such a poor thing. Okay, you can be accommodating or you can be, avoiding. So these are your intentions. Next time I'm just going to avoid that person. I'm not going to talk to that person. Never invite that person in my house. Okay, so that is the intention that you are creating in your mind for that person. It happens automatically. If you sit and think back, yesterday, I don't know whether you people went back and thought about that stress management that I was talking about, the stress. These things keep happening in your mind. It's just that here we are classifying and giving it names, but it is constantly happening in your mind. Okay, so here in intention, you now have the intention clear. Your intention is where your human mind, your personality, your nature is coming into. Like, what is my intention? Just for this petty thing, I cannot have an intention to kill that person. So I'll go ahead and I'll kill that relative. No, you can't do that, right? So that is not the right intention. This Mr. Vijay I was talking about in my office, okay, because he is doing that, my intention cannot be that, I'll just go on the road and I'll just box his ears or I'll shoot him on the road. No, that is not an intention. Okay, so your intentions has to be justified, your intentions has to match with the situation. That is your emotional intelligence. Then your behavior, okay, with this relative of yours, how you are behaving with that person, okay, what will be your automatic behavior. These things are a process which happens automatically in your human mind, okay. We have never given it so much names, but this happens. Now suppose in something office something has happened, I can put an email and escalate, okay. In an email I can write verb written and I can escalate, okay. If something is happening in my friend circle, I will pick up the phone and start blasting. That will be a verbal, right? So in case you have a very aggressive personality, that personality can just, go ahead and get into a physical attack also, fighting and all. We have seen that, right? We have seen it where people are just, fighting for some reason. So that physical attack can also go. Or you can become passive. I will not speak to that person. I will not talk to that person. I will not respond to the person. Okay, whenever I see the person, I'll just turn around and go. So that is a passive. So your behavior comes in stage 4. And then the final outcome, okay, the final outcome is whether it can be a make or a break situation. Okay, so if you're working well on your cognition, on your interpretation and your behavior, it can increase cohesiveness like bonding, it can increase loyalty, it can give rise to good leaders, it can increase productivity, okay. It can build relationships like in a family thing. If I'm talking about, suppose this example, suppose this particular relative is doing this, relatives do that, I'm not talking nonsense, my relatives do that. Now how you are handling the situation will build relationships between you and the relative, you and your father and the relative, right? Your reaction, your behavior will affect 3 relationships. Am I right? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So how you,
Yes, ma'am.
yes. So how you are reacting to that particular relative will affect 3 relationships. Okay. And by this relationship, I mean family. It is going to affect your relationship with your father or mother, whoever years she's feeling, you with your relative with your parent. Okay. So here, your cognition, your interpretation of the situation, your behavior, you just cannot, pick up the phone and start blasting your relative. So how you handle that situation, that conflict, here a conflict has arisen. You are not happy with what the relative is doing. So you have a conflict in mind. A conflict has come up. Now you want to, put that conflict into a huge thing. You want to end this conflict in a productive way, or do you want to, end the conflict in an unproductive way? What will be an unproductive way? Wherein you pick up the phone, you tell your relative, blast the relative, you don't maintain that respect, decorum, you say whatever you want and you drop the phone and you keep the phone. If suppose that is your behavior, right? Did it lead to anything productive? No, it did not lead to anything productive, because if she has to talk, she will go on talking about you. It has given her, him or her, a wrong impression about you. It has made her think that, oh, what kind of upbringing this person you have had. So all these are not leading to anything productive. But in that place, if you're picking up the call and you talk to your either you talk to your relative directly in a nice way, or you tell your father or mother that do not do this, do not pay any attention, do not, if you do not encourage somebody, then they won't do that. If you put your foot down that no, I'm not going to hear any such thing, then the person is not going to do that. So your skill is coming into play here, how you are handling it. You either you tell your father that, don't entertain this. Why do you keep entertaining this? Right? What does she have to do with my life or my thing? So either you put a stop to that, or you tell your relative directly that, this is not what you do. Right? This is my life. I am doing this. I am not liking it. So there are two ways in handling. So it will not lead to anything wrong, anything bad, any kind of distortion in relationships. So it will lead to a productive ending. This is the outcome. So today we will be, discussing this only. So I will give you a particular situation and you have to tell me how you are going to perceive it, handle it, and what are the outcomes it can have. Okay. I will give you a
Excuse me,
situation.
ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so ma'am, like whatever like the potential threat and behavior and all the conflict process are interrelated, ma'am. So it's
Mhm.
basically like how you react to a conflict. It's all based on this.
This whole process is a conflict. The conflict is arising at stage 1 when there is a potential threat already has come in. At that time, the conflict is arising, right?
So,
And then,
okay. Oh, yeah, tell me, ma'am.
so that the first stage is a conflict when your view is not matching with somebody's. Okay, at that time, this is the stage 1 where your potential opposition or the potential conflict has arrived. I am saying potential. Okay, I am not saying that potential means what? It can become a conflict. Okay, some sort of situation has arisen. I'm not saying that it is a conflict. It will be a huge conflict in the way you are handling it at the outcome of it. So when a potential conflict has arisen, for example, you are sitting with a friend of yours at the table or sitting and having coffee, and there's some political discussion has happened and you are not at all aligned to that person's thought. Okay, and political things are very much aggressive, whoever has political views, so you are not at all aligned. I have seen friendships break up on political issues. I have seen that. So suppose you're not aligned with that person. Okay, now in your thought it will go that I am saying this, but this person is not aligned with my thought, right? So here a conflict has already arisen. A conflict has already arisen. We think that when the person has ended up fighting, that is a conflict. No, the potential conflict has already arisen. We are looking at the source, right? And then you have to do the cognition and the personalization. Is it worth fighting over this? Or let him believe what he is believing, let me believe what I'm believing. Right? This is how you are perceiving and you are feeling about it. If you feel disrespected, oh, they're not listening to me. I mean, this is not done at all. If you feel like that, then your intention, next step intention is going to be different. That, I will revolt, I will argue, okay, or I will stop meeting that person, like that, and how you're perceiving the conflict. So at this stage, if you are perceiving the conflict that it is not worth fighting over it, forget it. Your intention is forget it. Here, your intention can be forget it. Let's not get into it. Right? If your intention is that, then all these things, then your behavior is friendly, composed, and your outcome becomes productive. That it did not affect your relationship. So we usually think that when a person has ended up, fighting and pulling each other's hair, at that time a conflict has arisen. No, the conflict has arisen a long time back. You are thinking about it, you are building intentions, you are thinking what plans to do, and that has given rise to, that has arisen as an outcome. Okay. So this is basically very easy thing. Okay. The next class we will go around doing how to manage it. Okay, the different skills that is needed to manage conflict. Any questions anybody has? And when I say potential, it means that it is a possibility. Potential means a possibility. The correct word, another synonym for potential is possibility. So as I said, when you're discussing with your friend about a political view and you see that a view has not matched, or with your mother you're talking about something, they have a old thinking and their thinking does not match with our generation. That is a fact. So at that time, at a discussion, you find that there is a mismatch in our views. So a potential conflict has arisen over there. Now it is depending on you, how you're feeling. If you feel disrespected and, my intention is to prove myself right, then the whole process goes different and it blasts into something unproductive. You talk back, there is a shouting, there is this, there is that. Okay. But if you feel your intention is no, it's her thinking, it's my thinking. Okay, she's coming from a different time. I am coming from a different time. That is this thinking is your cognition. This thinking is your emotional intelligence. That she's coming from a different time, I am coming from a different time, let it be. So your behavior becomes cooperative, passive, and accommodating. So was I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
I had a question, ma'am.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, like when there is a conflict arising, so our intention is not to increase that. Like we just
Hmm.
want to sort out the things, but the opponent person is like he want to increase. So at that time, what we can do? Like we don't want to increase more. We
Yes, so
just
that will be in conflict management. So over here, the other person is creating the conflict. Okay, the other person is going through that process of intentions, of how he has his cognition, how he has interpreted, and the potential actions or behavior that person is doing. So yes, that is true that we can also want to curb it. So we will discuss that in our conflict management, the techniques. It's a very interesting topic. As I said, I'm from a psychology background, so it is a very interesting topic. We are going to discuss in our next session the different techniques that we are going to use, to manage. Okay, so today we are actually out of time. All right, so it's like already 4:40. So I will meet you guys in the next session on conflict and how to manage conflict. Okay, along with stress management. Okay,
yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank
all
you, ma'am.
right, you can leave. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye. Bye. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Yeah. Hi.
I'm joining this course for the first time, ma'am. So I just wanted to know that okay, another class will also be there. When is it gonna be?
Next week, the schedule and the calendar has been shared with the college.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Thank you.